4 years after they exit scammed, the alleged owners of Empire Markets have just been identified and arrested, and these guys have a bit of a history. Also in your hacking news roundup, Europol releases an Operation Endgame episode that doesn't completely suck, and Stalkerware software is put out of business after being hacked. But first, the alleged kingpins of Empire Markets have been identified and arrested. Thomas Pavey and Raheem Hamilton have both been charged with running one of the largest darknet markets in history. Empire Market spawned in 2018 and was your typical darknet market. Here you could buy drugs, stolen account credentials, credit card information, use your imagination. At the time, Empire Market was cherished by the dark web community. It was reliable, user-friendly, helping it to become one of the most popular and trusted markets of its time. The marketplace was well on its way to achieving a kind of legendary status among the dark web community, reserved for only the most revered sites. But those hopes were dashed in 2020 when its owners pulled an exit scam, running away with an estimated $30 million in customer deposits. In the wake of its demise, one of the marketplace's former moderators claims that in the last 6 months of Empire Market's existence, the owners kind of lost interest in the site. Feature requests went ignored, couple that with a wave of DDoS attacks which regularly took the marketplace offline, and the mod thinks that the exit scam was an unplanned and impulsive decision. But regardless of the backstory, an exit scam is an exit scam, and so there is absolutely no love in the dark web community for the recently arrested duo. But something doesn't make sense here. Empire shut down 4 years ago. You would have thought its owners would be well in the clear by now, living on some Caribbean island sipping strawberry daiquiris or something. So why now have its alleged owners suddenly found themselves in handcuffs? Well, the indictment doesn't explain exactly what led the feds to identifying these guys, but we can make some educated guesses. You see, these two aren't exactly new to the criminal justice system. 2 years ago, the exact same two guys were charged with operating as vendors on Alphabay, selling counterfeit US currency. Alphabay is a totally different darknet marketplace, whose operator himself met an unfortunate end. The demise of Alphabay in 2017 coincided with that of Handsome Market, resulting in a significant void being left in the dark web ecosystem, one which Empire would fill just months later. It's quite possible that during the investigation into their currency counterfeiting business on Alphabay, the feds just so happened to stumble across something linking these guys to Empire Market. Total speculation, of course, but in all likeliness, it probably just boils down to them commingling the crypto profits they gained from both vending on Alphabay and running Empire Market. The feds claim that Empire Market facilitated the sale of more than $430 million in illegal wares across more than 4 million transactions. And assuming they're found guilty, the future is not looking good for these two. They're both facing 5 charges which could quite possibly land them life in prison. We have an update on Europol's Operation Endgame. As we saw last week, Operation Endgame was the largest ever operation against botnets, according to Europol. They seized a bunch of domains, took out some servers, and even made a few arrests. The European feds created a dedicated website around it, and even went so far as to commission a little animated miniseries, showcasing their efforts against the Russian cybercriminal baddies. And more was promised, with a countdown timer ticking down to the announcement of new revelations. And we have more news. The Ukrainian cyber police have arrested a 28-year-old suspected of being a key player within the Lockbit and Conti ransomware groups. The guy apparently specialised in the development of cryptors. Now, crypto software plays a crucial role in the distribution of malware, because they take a malicious executable, often called a stub, which is easily identifiable as malicious by anti-malware software, and then uses numerous obfuscation techniques to transform it into a payload which passes anti-malware checks a lot more easily. The goal is being FUD, or fully undetectable by security software. And creating these crypto tools is most definitely not a noob-friendly endeavour and requires deep technical knowledge. After kicking his door down and arresting the guy, police of course seized all his tech, with the miscreants now facing potentially 15 years in prison. In addition to news of the arrest, the Operation Endgame website released 2 more episodes of their animated miniseries. Now, I was previously unimpressed by this little series. I mean, Europol's aim with these episodes was for them to play a part in the psychological warfare against Russian cyber bad guys, to get into their heads and screw with their minds. However, in reality, the videos just didn't do that, and rather just seemed to exist in order to flatter the egos of the agencies that took part in the operation. I mean, each episode followed the exact same script. A hacker tries to sell a hacker thing on a hacker forum, but the hacker gets taken out by the feds, then, oh no, not my botnet. Given each episode is only a minute or so long, there just wasn't any time for a plot to develop, making the episodes just feel a bit dull. And whilst episode 5 does admittedly follow the same pattern, episode 4 is a little different, and is easily the best episode so far. It's called Fool's Gold, and is about a hacker who goes by the name Gold. The guy is presumably wanted by Europol, with the aim here obviously being to taunt the guy and get into his head. Let's have a watch, then we'll deconstruct it a bit.
Dear Alexei, we haven't heard from you in a while. We understand that you would like to reconnect. We noticed you enjoy traveling, and we want to remind you that there are beautiful, peaceful places in the world. Places that may even feel very familiar. So drop by next time or reach out again. We like talking to your lawyer, but would love to talk to you. And Alexei, please take care.
Okay, so the video is obviously very cryptic. We don't really know who Gold is and what he's accused of, but as the video mentions, we know his IRL name is Alexei and that he enjoys traveling, something he's no longer able to do thanks to being an internationally wanted cybercriminal, so that in of itself must really sting. We've also got what looks like some of his pseudonyms and perhaps places he's been, followed by what looks like leaked chat messages, potentially between him and his cybercriminal comrades. And all this is to a backdrop of the kind of song you'd find in Fallout, with a little girl speaking over the top of it, creating a kind of creepy and mysterious kind of atmosphere. And up until now, Europol hasn't publicly mentioned Gold at all, so if I was the guy and didn't know how much law enforcement had on me, if anything at all, for them to then put out a cryptic video like this, exposing my pseudonyms, where I like to travel and my chat messages, I'd most definitely be spooked. But this is of course assuming these are actual real references, and not just random assets grabbed from Shutterstock for filler. But that's just my take. Do you agree? Disagree? Let me know down in those comments, but I am really starting to enjoy Europol's little foray into streaming. A consumer-grade spyware company has been hacked and totally put out of business. PC Tattletale says their spyware enables advanced monitoring for businesses and families. All you got to do is install their Android or Windows app on your victim's device, and then you can keep an eye on all their activity, take screenshots of their display, track them via GPS, everything you'd expect, a complete monitoring solution. The company sells their spyware as a tracking solution for employees and children, but this category of software is often called Stalkerware for a reason, because it makes it easy for abusive partners to do, well, stalking. Stalkerware is often made by less than reputable businesses, who often don't have the skills or simply don't care about the privacy of their customers, and so the security of Stalkerware is notorious for having more holes than a slice of Swiss cheese, and PC Tattletale is no exception. On May 22nd, a security researcher, Eric Daigle, reported that he discovered a serious vulnerability in PC Tattletale's API, allowing any attacker to obtain the most recent screen capture recorded from any device on which PC Tattletale is installed. This is obviously pretty bad, so he did the right thing and notified the company of the vulnerability. But he claims his messages were just totally ignored. As such, he gave everyone a heads up with this post, but he didn't give any more details in order to avoid encouraging abuse of the vulnerability. But this is where a currently unknown hacker saw this as a challenge, because of course when a company turns a blind eye to just one vulnerability, you can bet there's a hell of a lot more just waiting to be found. And 3 days later, the PC Tattletale website was hacked and defaced by someone, quoting the security researcher and responding, "Challenge accepted." Our hacker explains how within just minutes they discovered an unforgivable mistake. PC Tattletale's client API returns raw AWS credentials. This is so victim devices can directly upload those captured screenshots. But these creds just so happen to provide complete access to the company's infrastructure, which not only includes the now defaced website, but a hell of a lot of data, which the hacker has leaked for anyone to download. Now, I was too late to grab the dump, but according to Have I Been Pwned, it included the personal information of 138,000 users, which includes pretty much the complete contents of their account profiles, and to add insult to injury, the passwords were apparently only MD5 hashed. But our hacker didn't stop there, because they updated the defaced website, claiming to have infected the company's owner with his own spyware, posting a video of him trying and failing to restore his own website. But I'm relying on the Wayback Machine here, and despite my best Googling efforts, I can't for the life of me find that video. But if you have a copy, let us know down in the comments. And just a couple days ago, TechCrunch interviewed PC Tattletale's owner, who said he no longer even has access to the company's Amazon Web Services account, adding that the company is now out of business and completely done. And so, PC Tattletale joins the long list of insecure consumer-grade spyware companies that have been put out of business after being hacked and exposed. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.